What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NKU Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Josh Cobb, and along with me is Noah Miller. Noah, you have that Reds jersey on. It seems like you're ready for baseball season to start.
Yeah, Cincinnati, it's turned into a baseball town again, after the Bengals' tough loss. It's Reds season now. From this day on, it's Reds season.
Phil, you're repping the UC. You've repped it all this season. You called yourself the quarter zip enthusiast. Is that true?
I am. I've worn 3 different quarter zips on each of the 3 shows I've been on so far. I hope to continue that stretch going for a long time.
How many quarter zips do you have?
I think you'd be surprised.
All right.
Well, can't wait to see what next week's is.
I know. Yeah. We'll be waiting. And we're going to start with NKU. NKU had a tough loss this weekend, both men's and women's. It was homecoming weekend. And we'll start with the women who play on the road at Youngstown State, lost 52-51 in a heartbreaker. But this is still a really good team, as we've talked about in previous episodes. And though it was a tough loss, I really think they have a shot as the season winds down.
Yeah, they still have a great shot. I mean, when you have Lindsay Duval performing how she's performing, you have a shot at being good and going somewhere late in the season.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they got to work on their all-around play. I think they played down to their opponent a little bit, but I think they got a great squad, and they can definitely make a good run.
All 3 of us were there for that game against, I believe it was, I forgot who it was.
You're talking about the men's?
Yeah, the men's
Milwaukee.
game.
It was
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee's a good team.
Yeah, they're right behind them in the standings. Well, now I think they
first.
took over in
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So, NKU led it by 23 at one point in that game, and they shot 2 for 18 from behind the arc in the second half. Milwaukee comes back and beats them in just definitely a heartbreaking loss. And, of course, we all watched that game, but what did you take away from that?
What I took away from it was, Coach Horn said it, that they played the best they did in the first half and the worst they did in the second half all season. The first half was amazing. The crowd was into it. Student section was pumped. It was homecoming. The team was performing really well. They scored almost 50 in the first half, and then they just came out in the second half. Don't really know what happened. They just didn't play at all, and it's kind of weird because I think it was the score differential. NKU scored 48, and then Milwaukee scored 27. It was almost the exact opposite in the second.
And what about you, Phil? You were right there. So what did you
I
see?
loved what Noah said. The crowd was outstanding, probably the best we've seen since we played UC in Truist. And I think that helped them in the first half. And just like NKU in the second half, they disappeared. I think a lot of students left at halftime, went back to their dorms, back home, whatever it may be, and NKU lost some energy through that.
Yeah, you could definitely tell. And, of course, we had the guest that was on ESPN at halftime. You were right there for that, actually.
I was right there. I was right
Andy
behind
Bashir.
the camera.
Yeah, even though it's not really your governor. But
Oh, it was still really cool. Yeah, he was a great interview. Got to shake his hand afterwards. Yeah, great guy.
it was really neat. And it was a big weekend. And I know NKU fell in both games. But, again, don't stop showing up because this team is great. They have the ingredients to make the NCAA tournament for sure. Wouldn't you all agree with that?
Yes,
Absolutely.
they're gonna be right there in the Horizon League all year, going for a chance to win it and possibly maybe sneak into the tournament.
Love to see that.
Yeah, if they play that first half like they did the rest of the season, I think no doubt they'll get in there.
Oh, if they could play the way they did in the first half, I think they get past the round of 64.
It's a team that could be on upset watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The year they played Kentucky in the first round, it was a 9-point game. That was against an NBA All-Star now in Bam Adebayo and De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. That was a really good UK team, and they were right there. Honestly, I think this is one of the more complete NKU teams. I think you have guys that can really run the point. Vincent and Xavier Rhodes can really do that. But then you have guys like Warwick and Faulkner, who's off the bench, who can really handle the ball. You have scoring. Warwick's just a prolific scorer in the Horizon League, and we've seen Faulkner really do well in the last few games. Brandon's just an amazing rebounder. So, again, this will be a great few weeks of basketball.
Yeah, well, and somebody that really doesn't get as much attention as they should is Trey Robinson. He's been hitting threes for NKU consistently.
Yeah, in that first half, he knocked down, I think, 2 or 3 back to back to back. Yeah, he's been killing it.
Yeah, so again, I mean, KU has another week on the road in the Horizon League. Some big games coming up. We got to talk about the Bengals game. We can't go throughout the
Sadly,
show
we do.
without we can't go out throughout this show without talking about that game. The Bengals lost at the end of the game off a field goal, but everyone's talking about it and I understand that. But there's so many things to dissect, I feel like, and so I just want to go throughout the whole game and talk about just different parts. So we'll start with quarterback on both sides. We'll start with Burrow, who I thought really played not up to what he should have, but I feel like he was still a great leader, and obviously they wouldn't even been in that game without him. But on the other side, Mahomes was just a monster. I mean, to be able to get that first down on his feet when he's obviously hurt is impressive. But they were the two best quarterbacks in the league these last few weeks.
Yeah, they no doubt, and they're going to continue to be the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL for years to come. Cincinnati fans, don't be surprised if the next 5 years, 4 of those years, you're playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship again, because it could easily be doable. The Chiefs are built; they have their dynasty. Well, the Bengals have theirs too. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on in that game. If you take Burrow out, Bengals don't even have a chance in that game. But a lot of controversy I hear from fans and NFL fans, even not just Bengals fans. Like, it was a really good game. It was one of the best games I've watched all year. I was at the edge of my seat especially the fourth quarter. But what I have concern with Burrow is that his fourth quarter stats really don't live up to like Burrow's name.
Yeah, and I think that will come with time. I mean, he's a young quarterback, and like you said, the stats are there. I do think that will come with time. I think that's kind of what separated Burrow and Mahomes there in that final quarter.
Yeah.
It was just that, I mean, Mahomes has been in that moment. So
Many times.
Mahomes played outstanding that whole game, really. I mean, he didn't really need to run the ball. He did on the final play, but he played great on that ankle, all things considered.
And the Bengals, I mean, they had the offensive line issues, which I still think at times that on certain drives they played good. I mean, of course, everyone wants to talk about the refs. The refs were bad. I'm not going to say, but the game isn't won or lost off refs. I will never be a believer of that. And, I mean, like the redo on the fourth down, obvious. I mean, they didn't even explain that. And that's, I mean, I can see where you can kind of question that.
Yeah, they showed a replay of the ref coming on the field and blowing his whistle, but Arrowhead was just so loud.
Yeah.
Not even, the quarterback certainly couldn't hear it, or the lineman not to snap the ball, but not even the players closest to the ref even noticed a whistle.
Yeah, that's what's crazy about it is when you're in the moment, you don't even hear the whistle. You probably can't even hear yourself think when it's that loud. It's the way it ended and the way it was just played out was definitely not. It wasn't good for the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
In a way, and I know refs have been talked about for many, many years. One thing that comes back to me, you said that you wouldn't determine a win or loss off of a referee, but I agree, except that Saints-Rams game where there was no PI called when it was obviously PI.
That was the first thing that popped in my head when Josh said that.
You said that, and I was like, well, maybe the Saints-Rams games, no PI.
But then there's drives that were missed opportunities earlier in the game. So, I mean, like Burrow got sacked. He threw 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and you had the final drive to go down and win the game. Honestly, I thought they were going to because of how they had played earlier in the season. But it just didn't go that way. And that's really how the NFL has been. I mean, the amount of talent that's been spread throughout the NFL, making so many more teams good, has really shown. And I think that's just another example.
That talent has really consolidated itself to the AFC, too.
For
so
sure.
many teams in the AFC are stacked. We saw that in the NFC playoffs when they played. The Eagles and the 49ers really took over that game.
Yeah, that wasn't even a game, really.
The Bengals, I mean, and Joseph Osai, it's a simple mistake. Again, nothing he did was determine the outcome of the game. I know they got into better field position, but I will never, ever believe that one man loses a game because that's just not true.
No, and he played amazing all game long.
Yeah.
He was forcing stuff. He was making the Chiefs lose yardage, and now he's being blamed for the loss when you could blame Burrow at the
You
most.
can blame anyone.
Of it. You could blame
Exactly.
the play call. You could blame the defense, the offensive line. You could blame anybody, and that's why this sport is not a one-man sport. It takes a team, and it takes two sides of the ball.
Something I loved, B.J. Hill really stood up for Joseph Ozai after the game in the locker room. A reporter was asking him, do you credit yourself for this loss? And B.J. Hill shut that reporter up right away. Really stood up for his teammate.
Yeah, and Osai, he's young. Like, he's only a year older than me, and he's in the NFL.
And he lost his rookie year, too. He didn't play. He was injured the whole time.
Yeah, so that's I couldn't even imagine what he's going through right now.
And there's no reason for fans to blame him. And if you are, then you're watching the wrong sport.
Yes.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to blame the refs. You need to accept the loss. And I mean, I know some may not like to hear that, but it's just part of it. I mean, I'm a Packers fan. I've been there plenty of times where we've lost close games in the NFC Championship. It's just because we weren't the better team. And the Chiefs are a good team. I mean, the whole trash talking all week, I know you got to accept that.
Yeah.
That's just part of sports. You have to accept it. If you're going to give it, you have to accept it. I mean, that's just something that comes naturally, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's a part of sports. It's not going anywhere, and if it does, that's gonna suck. But
I certainly didn't like seeing all the Cincy fans run their mouth, especially some of the younger fans who kind of joined the team bandwagon.
Yeah.
The bandwagon in the last couple of years, and especially the mayor. He came out and apologized, though, so that's good.
Yeah. And I think this loss will kind of filter out some of those bandwagon fans, which happens with any
Definitely.
team. Of course, we're just around Cincinnati fans more, so we're more likely to see it. The other side was, like you mentioned, the 49ers and the Eagles, which just wasn't a game. But in the 49ers' defense, their quarterback goes out. They didn't stand a chance after that. And this Eagles team is really good. I really think they're going to win the Super Bowl over the Chiefs just because of their dominant defense. I mean, they have some dudes on that defense. I mean, the defensive front, you have Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, who played on that team that beat the Patriots. And then Hassan Reddick is second in the league in sacks. And then their cornerbacks, Darius Slay and James Bradbury. I mean,
It's an
Mahomes.
incredible duo.
Exactly. And Mahomes, I will say, struggled at times. And with Cincinnati secondary, and that's without Awuzie. I mean, and so think about what he's going to do with two all-pro corners.
yeah, this Eagles defense is loaded. And that 49ers offense wasn't a bad offense. Even without Brock Purdy, it was still a pretty good defense. You still had Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. You still had all those people that could carry that team. I mean, you need a quarterback, but there was plenty of pieces for them to win that game, and they just didn't.
And for everybody who said that it's a friendly quarterback system, they proved, during that game that not anybody can play quarterback
Exactly.
for the 49ers.
Exactly. And I'm going to mention what you said about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. They should. They are one the better team. And I don't know. It's going to be a good Super Bowl. The Eagles, the only thing that I could see them losing is because of experience.
Yeah.
And that being on the
I agree.
offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts, I think, is a really, really good quarterback. His ability to, as he's improved, his ability to pass the ball compared to past years is just insane. And his ability to run the ball, which I'm not sure if y'all watched him at college, but he was a really good rushing quarterback too in college. I think the running back game, they've really found the running back game because of their amazing offensive line. Jason Kelsey is the best center in the league.
It's not
Lane
even
Johnson.
close.
And then their wide receivers. They went out. They made changes in the wide receiver core. They got A.J. Brown, who has proved to be a top 5 receiver this season. Devontae Smith is actually 9th in the league as well in receiving yards. And then Dallas Goedert is probably a top 10 tight end. So they have a lot of dogs on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think they led the NFL in Pro Bowlers for a single team.
There you go. Again, like you said, it could come down to experience because Mahomes has been in these kind of games, obviously.
A lot of times.
And he's the best quarterback in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the best tight end of all time, in my opinion. Travis Kelce. I know a lot of Cincy fans don't like him, but he's good. I mean, he's a tight end, this body of a tight end that plays like a wide receiver. The only thing that worries me about the Chiefs is their defense. Chris Jones was a monster in that Cincinnati
he was a game
game.
wrecker, for sure.
But the rest, I just don't see that living up to the Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, in their secondary, it's a bunch of young, either late round picks or undrafted players playing in the secondary. And with that Eagles offense, better watch out. Because Devontae Smith, he is a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's a wide receiver 2 on that team is just saying something.
I think it's kind of like the Bengals. I mean, T. Higgins is a wide receiver 1. They had 2 wide receiver 1s, and Tyler Boyd could be a wide receiver 1 on a few teams.
Yeah, a few.
So, and I think that hurt them. Of course, Tyler Boyd went out with the injury. The T. Higgins got that touchdown. I know they were focusing on Jamar Chase, who wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Snead went out, which was their best corner. I will say Trent McDuffie, one of the corners that's a rookie out of Washington, did do really well. He kind of batted down a few passes that could have been game-changing, but again, they aren't like the Eagles, and that Eagles defense is just so explosive at times. I'm going with the Eagles. What about you?
Eagles.
I think I have to take the Eagles too. That's just
Let's hope we're
so
right.
hard to go against.
Yeah.
They showed all season, the first 8 games they went undefeated, how dominant they were. Then they got Jalen Hurts injury. Obviously, he came back. He's playing fantastic. I think he was going to be MVP before that injury, and he missed a few games. But even when he came back in that final game of the regular season, there was questions if he was going to be good to go. He certainly didn't look good in that game against the Giants in the last week of the season, but then he showed up in that next week, first week of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing just as good as anyone, as you mentioned. And again, I mentioned the running game. I had Miles Sanders as a fantasy running back a few years ago, and he didn't do the greatest. I was like, gosh dang it, this Eagles running game. But he's really proved to step up, and I think they have Kenneth Gainwell, who is he's really good, and even their returning has gotten a lot better. Boston Scott is a third-string running back who could easily be a number 1 running back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You usually see that with wide receivers. You never see that with running backs.
No, you really don't.
And so we made our picks, but so would you all say that these are the 2 best teams in the NFL this season overall?
The 2 best.
I think the Eagles are certainly the best in the NFC. I think that's no doubt. I'd like to say the Bengals could rival the Chiefs, and I think they do, but I think Mahomes is just that difference maker. I think the Chiefs are the best in the AFC.
The AFC is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the AFC is tough. The NFC is the Eagles. It's not even close, but wow.
It's a tough question.
I think
it's between the Bengals and the Chiefs.
I think the Bengals and the Chiefs could split a series. They play 10 times. I think it'd go 5-5.
Definitely. Do you put the Bills in this conversation?
I think when they're playing at their peak, they're the best team in the NFL. When they're at their peak, because Josh Allen showed that in the playoffs last season, and he showed that in the last drive against the Chiefs earlier in the season. I really think when he's playing at his best, they are the best team in the NFL. I just think their consistency hurts them, unlike the Bengals and the Chiefs.
Yeah, and that's a lot credited to Josh Allen. His consistency isn't fantastic. He throws interceptions. He makes a lot of mistakes.
I would say the Bengals are the best team in the AFC, and the Chiefs should not be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bold statement.
Wow.
But
I didn't see the second half of that sentence coming.
They should not.
You got me in the first half. All right, and since we talked about our 2 top teams and just who kind of rolls over the league as a team, let's do a draft. Let's do we're gonna draft our offenses in the NFL. So we're gonna do quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and an offensive line.
right.
We talked about this before, Phil. You said I could go first. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. We are doing a snake draft, so Josh will start, then it will come over to me. I'll have 2 picks, and it will go
That's
back
probably
to
why
Josh.
you let me go first.
Yeah, so I'm the only one that doesn't get back-to-back picks. It's okay, guys.
So are we doing this starting with quarterback, or are we just doing whoever?
No, it's open.
All right.
The board is
All right.
completely open to you.
So I'm gonna start with quarterback because I think it is one of the lesser. I don't think there's as elite talent as there is in other positions, and obviously I'm going Mahomes because he's by far the best quarterback. And yeah, so that's my first pick. I mean, because he makes any team, he makes whoever he has to work with, he makes them a championship level team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a different route than you because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, but not Mahomes though.
There's only
not that level.
There's only 3 picks, so I'm taking Justin Jefferson.
Oh, good. I was worried you were going to go a direction that I'm going to take, and I'm going to take the Eagles O-line.
I like that. That's a
they're
really
just
good.
so good, and that helps the all-around
I did not
offense.
think that would go round 1.
So I'm going to go there. I think that's like the Mahomes of the offensive line
Yeah.
in the NFL. They're just that much better. And with my second pick, I am going to go with Joe Burrow.
That is
I was
smart.
debating him or Jalen Hurts, and I think Burrow's my
Finally,
guy.
Burrow has the best O line in the NFL.
Yeah, man, that makes a
Dream
difference.
scenario.
All right, your next pick.
I'm gonna go with. I think we're gonna go with Travis Kelce at tight
That's
end.
a really good pick because there's not very many
Mm-hmm.
good tight ends. I'm gonna go an offensive line too because obviously you can't have a good quarterback if you don't have a good offensive
You're
line.
gonna take that offensive line, aren't you?
So, I think there's a lot of decent offensive lines, but I think this is one of the most underrated is the Browns. The Browns have like 3 or 4 Pro Bowlers every
Wow.
single year.
I didn't see that one coming.
The Browns
I
O line
like
is
that. I like that
extremely
pick.
underrated.
And you're back to back.
You have yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Mark Andrews as my tight end because there's very few,
Mhm.
and so I think, and again we'll just go along with that. He's a great blocking tight end too, so we'll just go back to our good O line and have him blocking as well.
So you both got your tight ends off the board. I'm last with the third tight end. I'm not taking that till my last pick now.
All right, well, interesting.
Okay.
And
So this is hard. Not really. I'm gonna take a running back. We only need 1 running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey.
Wow. First running back taken off the
Yeah.
board. Interesting. All right. Back-to-back picks back to me. I bet you wish you had that back-to-back pick.
Yep. Yep.
nice.
Don't mention it.
I think I'm going to go receiver to start, and I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. He showed this year that he is that good of a player. He just ended up getting injured, sadly.
An injury. Yeah.
Injuries off the board in this scenario. And then I think I have to go with running back as my next pick. And that's a tough one. But I think I'm going to go with Austin Eckler, a
I like that.
pass-catching
That's
tight end
really good.
Yep.
or receiver.
Okay. I'm gonna cap off my wide receiver room with Tyreek Hill.
That's a good pick.
That is a good
That's
pick.
a really good pick.
And okay, so I'm going with a running back, the best in the NFL, Derrick Henry. And I'm gonna go as my wide receiver. I'm going when he was healthy, Devontae Adams. Best in
I like
the
it.
NFL.
Yeah. We go offensive line, 49ers.
All right, is that your team's wrapped up then?
I still have another wide receiver.
Okay.
I still have a quarterback.
Oh, I got my last 2 picks here then, don't I? I got one more wide receiver to get and a tight end. So tight end, I'm gonna go with Dallas Goedert. I think he's really great. Do you not like that pick? You made a little face reaction.
No, I do not like that pick because one tight end just went undrafted, and I cannot believe he went undrafted.
Who?
You know, I see who that is now, George Kittle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
can't
what I was-
believe I didn't go with him. I can't change it now. I'm gonna stick to my pick. I think
That's
Dallas
still a really
Goedert
good
is
pick.
great.
Yeah, it's still a good
I think
pick.
he's really good. And then I need one more wide receiver. You got Adams, Jefferson.
I have Adams.
Oh, you have Adams.
I have Jefferson and Hill.
Ooh.
There's still one really, 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 really good one. Or
There's
two.
there's a
that-
lot of good wide receivers
Yeah.
Yes.
left.
There's one elite one that I'm hoping you don't take.
You know, I'm kind of blanking in my mind here. I'm going to go with a pick that I think that you probably don't have. He was outstanding this year. I had him in fantasy, so it's kind of leading my pick here, A.J. Brown.
Dang it, that was one of mine.
All right.
Okay, and I'm going to finish the quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
That's it. And so my final wide receiver. I'm going with the best route runner in the NFL, the local man, Jamar Chase.
Good pick. That's who I was between.
And I also considered Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
Oh, man. Him going undrafted in this is crazy.
Yeah. So
do you want to list off your team?
Yeah. So I had Patrick Mahomes. I had Derrick Henry. And I really think because when teams play the Titans, they always look after their rush game instead of the pass. And so I think we kind of balanced there. Jamar Chase, who I really think has really great hands and is a really good route runner. And then Devontae Adams is just he has the best hands in the NFL, and he can make impossible catches. Patrick Mahomes likes to make impossible throws. Mm-hmm. So my tight end, I would have gone Travis Kelce, but Mark Andrews is still really good. And then my offensive line I still think is underrated. I will die on that hill. But I really think that it's an all-around solid team. So, and I'll back up my Browns. The Browns have one of the best rushing games in the league.
Yeah,
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are good, but you can't have a good rushing game without a good O-line. So.
Okay, I'm just going to continue because that's a conversation for another day. Because you can't have a good running game with a terrible offensive line. Look at Joe Mixon. But
Joe Mixon's overrated.
Okay, like I said, for another day. So quarterback for me is Jalen Hurts. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey. My two receivers are Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. Tight end is Travis Kelce. And O-line is the 49ers.
And, I think I slipped up. I should have gone Travis Kelce to start. Because my thought process with taking the Eagles O-line was that there's so few other options that are as elite as them. And then I went quarterback when there's only three of us. And there's, I could have got Josh Allen who went undrafted.
Yeah.
I could have had Travis Kelce. But my final five is Joe Burrow, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, Austin Eckler, and Dallas Goedert and the Eagles O-line.
I'm going to be completely honest. If you took George Kittle, I would have picked your team over both of ours. Because George Kittle, I like Dallas Goedert, but I do think George Kittle's better. That O-line of the Eagles can make anyone good. Joe Burrow, top 2 quarterback in the NFL. And then I really like the Austin Eckler pick. I really, really like that one. I think he's the best pass catching running back. I think he could be argued for the best running back because of how well he can catch the ball along with rushing. And then A.J. Brown is obviously really good. And I forgot who Cooper Kupp. Yeah, Cooper Kupp was the best wide receiver in the league last season. So I like that.
Let us know in the comments who has the better team.
Yeah, I don't think it's mine, but it's fine.
I don't know. I think it's sorry, but yeah, it's not yours.
Yeah, it's his.
But I don't know.
I think we all made a few mistakes here and there that we could have drafted better, but I think we have some pretty killer teams.
I do. Yeah. I think all three could make could be the best team in the NFL. So
depends on the defensive side.
Yeah. And you have to. I feel like having a balanced running game and wide receiver core is important, and so that's kind of what I was thinking. That's why I was like, okay, well, Derrick Henry, they're not going to put him in. They're not going to line him up at receiver.
No.
So obviously that frees up the two receivers. And so you brought up defense. So real quick, who do you think could stop your team? What defense?
What defense? I got to take the best defense in the league in the 49ers.
Fair enough.
I don't think they could stop my team, but I think my team's unstoppable. But I think that's the team that could best rival it.
I mean, they are good. They have some really good guys. So that wraps it up for today. That was a really fun segment. It was really interesting because everyone has their different perspectives. And again, let us know what you think. Comment. What's your offense look like. I'm sure it has to be similar to ours in
yeah.
some way. But, also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. NKU Talk 2022 is our Twitter, and NKU Sports Talk 2022 is our Instagram. DM us if you have any ideas, anyone you'd like us to interview, or comment on the video. Just let us know anyhow, and we'll do it.
Or give us ideas for what we should draft.
Anything. Yeah, the top 5, that's going to be back. It's going to be, I know we didn't call it top 5, but that's going to be back. But again, we thank everyone for listening or watching, depending on what you're doing. And we'll thank our crew behind the scenes and for all that they do. This wouldn't be possible without them. From Phil Hoffman, Noah Miller, and myself, Josh Cobb. Have a good day, everyone.